Good afternoon. I'd like to call this Kansas City, Kansas Community College Board of Trustees special meeting to order this Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. Cheryl, would you call the roll, please?
Swell. Trustee Gilstrap.
Here.
Trustee Hoskins Sutton.
Here.
Chair Isnard.
Here.
Vice Chair Ricketts.
Here.
Trustee Scruggs Andrieu.
Here.
Thank you. For the special meeting, we will have two executive sessions. So at this time, I'd call for a motion for the first executive session to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel with possible action to follow an open session for a 5-minute duration. Open session will take place in room AA 101 and in the virtual meeting room.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Trustees will be allowed time to make it to the special meeting room.
Back here.
Is Randy good? I can't see him.
Yeah. Yeah, I started.
Do we have a motion to return to open session, please?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. This time I would call for a motion relating to executive session number 1 to non-renew probationary faculty member Marissa Krein, electronic resources librarian. Do we have a motion?
So move. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And we are ready for a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.
For how long? 'Cause I'm not-
As quick as you can get back. And we've got everyone's recording for the pledge, hopefully. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Kansas City, Kansas Community College Board of Trustees to order this April the 15th, 2025. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I'll now read our mission statement, which is to inspire individuals and enrich our community one student at a time. Cheryl, would you call the roll, please?
Trustee Ash.
Here.
Trustee Criswell. Trustee Gilstrap.
Here.
Trustee Hoskin Sutton.
Here.
Chair Isnard.
Here.
Vice Chair Ricketts.
Here.
Trustee Scruggs on 3U.
Here.
Thank you. And now I would call for a motion to approve this evening's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now I would invite the Kansas City, Kansas Community College athletics teams for academic year 2025 national competitors, the women's soccer team, the women's volleyball team, and the men's basketball team for a presentation presented by Ms. Jordan O'Brien, Assistant Director of Athletics.
Thank you so much for having us. We had a tremendous year this year in athletics. It was actually a historic year. We had 3 teams so far qualify for the national tournament, with 2 teams still playing competition, baseball and softball, so hopefully they make the national tournament as well. But going to introduce our 3 teams to you this evening with their coaches and their athletes. So first up, we have Coach Mary Ballou, and she's going to introduce her team to you and tell you about her accomplishments.
Hello and good evening. I am Mary Bruno Ballou, and I am the head women's volleyball coach here at Kansas City, Kansas Community College. I am up here with my assistant coach, Asia Heron, in our volleyball program. I'm here to kind of talk a little bit about our season this year. We had an overall record of 28-9, and we finished 3rd in the Jayhawk Conference. We lost in the region finals, unfortunately, but we were one of 4 teams this year to receive an at-large bid to the national tournament. At the tournament, we started with the number 11 seed and worked our way up to play in the 3rd place match. The 2024 team finished with the highest record in historic history, with us finishing 4th in the nation in Division II National Women's Volleyball. Our volleyball team has overcome a lot of adversity. We spent our entire season off campus traveling to and from practices, home games, and weights. The athletes that you see in front of you are incredibly diverse, and the things that they have done have been remarkable. They have come from right next door at Piper High School to all the way to Puerto Rico and Italy and everywhere in between. The fact that this group has done so well with all of the adversity that they have had to face says a testament about who they are as people and what they can do when they achieve something. We had 4 athletes receive all conference honors and 1 All-American. And not only did they perform on the court, but they also performed off the court academically. We had a cumulative GPA for fall 2024 of a 3.42 for all of our athletes, which is remarkable in itself. We're here to just kind of tell you a little bit. I'm going to introduce one of our sophomores. Her name is Sophia, and she's going to tell you a little bit about herself in KCK.
Hi, my name is Sophia Fraking. I'm a sophomore here at KCK. I've recently committed to the University of St. Mary's, Omaha, Nebraska, to pursue my athletic and academic career and study nursing. My time at KCK has been a huge part of my growth both on and off the court. Being a student athlete taught me how to balance academics with sports, stay disciplined, and to keep working hard even when things get tough. My experience at KCK has definitely prepared me for the next level, mentally, physically, and academically. And I'm extremely grateful to KCK, Asia, and Mary for my opportunity for these past 2 years. Thank you.
Next, we're going to introduce Coach Jefferson Robley.
Hold on, just a second.
Yes,
Whoa.
go ahead.
Let's give them a big round of applause for all those accomplishments that Coach shared with us, the academic as well as the athletic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well done.
Thank you all so much. All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Yeah,
Good
because you
luck.
have choices,
girls.
but you chose KCKCC, so thank you.
Thank you, coaches. Okay, next up we have our women's soccer team with Coach Jefferson Robley.
I'm Jefferson Robley, the head coach of women's soccer here at KCKCC. Thanks for having us here. We had a banner year this year. We finished as conference champions. We had an undefeated regular season. We were ranked #1 in the region, and we were selected for the national championship tournament. At the national tournament, we won our first game against a team from Texas, then lost was the equivalent to the national quarterfinal against an excellent team from Arizona. It was an excellent experience. We have an excellent team of student athletes, and many of which earned numerous honors, all conference and all region. And we had one player, Sierra Montez, a KCK native who went to Piper High School, who earned All-American honors. Sierra, where are you? Raise your hand. Now I'm going to give the podium to sophomore captain Ann Bainline. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ann Bayline, and I want to start by sincerely thanking you for the opportunity to be here tonight and for allowing my team and me to share a little bit about our journey this season. I'm a sophomore here at Kansas City, Kansas Community College, and originally from Lee Summit, Missouri. I've had an incredible experience living here on campus and being part of this amazing team for the past 2 years. In the fall, I will be continuing my academic and athletic career at Pittsburgh State University, but KCK will always hold a special place in my heart. From day one, we set high standards for ourselves. We had tough practices and tougher games. In moments where it would have been easy to fold, we leaned on each other. We showed up for one another on and off the field. The bond we share as a team is real, and it is what carried us through. None of this would have been possible without the support of our coaches, our school, and all of you. Thank you for believing in student athletes like me and for giving us a place where we can grow not just in our sport but as people. Thank you again for having us. Go Blue Devils.
Woo-hoo! Amazing accomplishments, team coach, team. Outstanding. We're very, very proud of you.
Yes, well done.
Thank you for choosing KCKCC.
One more. Yeah.
Next, we have our men's basketball team, Coach Brandon Burgett.
Good evening. My name is Coach Brandon Burgett. I'm the head men's basketball coach. This team went overall 26-10. We finished our regular season on a 12-game win streak. We were able to win 2 games in a row in the region tournament to advance to the national tournament. These guys won the region championship to move on to the national tournament, where we received the 14th seed and were able to win our first game at the national tournament, which was the first win in program history to win a national tournament game. We made it to the Sweet 16, but we lost. But these guys fought, throughout the season to get to that point of the year in March. Our goal was to be able to get to the national tournament and do something that most teams don't get to do, but not only win a first national tournament game that this program has never done. The 26 wins were also the most wins in program history. And then we had 4 guys that had great accomplishments. BJ Stewart, raise your hand, BJ. BJ finished All-American. He was also Player of the Year in the conference. And then Israel Randall was first team in the region tournament. Tavion Washington was also MVP of the region tournament. And then Cameron Williford was second team all tournament in the region tournament. So proud of our guys for what they've done. Our student athletes have been great in the community, great on and off the floor, and just being a representation of Kansas City Kansas Community College. I'm going to turn it over to Andrew T. Meyer, who's also an RA at Centennial Hall and is a sophomore leader on our team.
Coach, before you go, how many Jayhawk Conference teams have made the national?
Two. So Johnson County received an enlarged bid just because of their wins throughout the season, but we actually beat Johnson County to go to the national tournament. So,
all right.
Yes.
I just wanted you to be able to say that. Publicly.
Publicly say it.
Hello, everybody. My name is Andrew T. Meyer. I'm a redshirt freshman on this team. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Overall, super proud of these guys on this team. Very similarly to the volleyball team. We went through a lot of adversity the last 2 seasons. We haven't had a home gym, a home practice, a home game, anything. And for these guys to come out, 26 wins, make the national tournament, first win in school history. It meant a lot for us, especially some of our sophomore leaders, Pierce, Sean, Cam, BJ, all those guys. Their leadership, really made it well, and obviously the leadership of Coach Frank and Coach Brigette. Being away from home, I know some of the other guys can talk about this as well. They really made this place felt like home, and allowed us to truly be ourselves and grow and blossom. Overall, this team, like I said, super proud of these guys. I feel like, not a lot of other teams could do what we done. And so at the end of the day, like I said, very proud to be a Blue Devil, very proud to call these guys my brothers. So I appreciate the time, appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we congratulate you. We also want to apologize, and we realize you sophomores didn't even get to play one home game on your home court, same with the volleyball team, so just like them. And we're sorry about that, but we're so proud of what you were able to accomplish under such adverse environments sometimes, and so makes the work all the harder, Coach, I know. But it looks like you guys are up to the challenge. So, yeah.
Trustee Ash, sounds like they may have to come back and just play an alumni game or something when the court's done. Just throwing that out there.
There you go. That's a good idea.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you for your
all.
support. We're very, very proud of our coaches and our athletes, and we're very proud to be Blue Devils.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for choosing
Congratulations again.
KCKCC.
Thank you.
All right, next on our agenda, I would invite the presentation of the anticipated property evaluations presented by Dr. Mosher.
Thank you, Chair Isnard. I'm just working with some technology there. There we go. So at last week's Board Finance Committee, we have the privilege of Matt Willard come and present to us on where they believe the valuations will fall for 2025 for our next fiscal year. He supplied this presentation for us. I'll try and do my best, and then we have a lot of very smart board finance folks here too, so we'll let them jump in. So one of the things that he did want to remind everyone that the appraisers don't create the value. They put the data together and then looking at transactions in the marketplace to try and identify where the valuation will fall for this next year. These are some of the objects that the appraiser's office needs to work with, their duties, their responsibilities, and reporting. And during the valuation process, they started in January. They start looking at appraisals and what has the sales have been during this last year in 6 months. In February, they really focus on the residential division. An annual appraisal notice is mailed out to the homeowners. In March, the homeowners, property owners, I should say, because some of this is commercial, have an opportunity to file for an appeal. And then the last day for those appeals is May 15th, and try and get everything accomplished by June 1. So we're getting closer. We really appreciate the forward look ahead as we look to determine our budget. So this slide shows some of the key metrics on sales in Wyandotte County and in other areas, doing some comparisons. The third column of each data sale, you can see the percent change. Most of it is around 5, 6, 7%. So those are numbers that are brought together to make the final determination. This is really interesting. If we look at our KC Metro area as a region, Wyandotte County, the average median single home value is $223. I believe that is, it's up 6.7%. Leavenworth County is at $262. Johnson County, $450. And you can see the percentage changes. Platte County actually went down 10%. Clay County is up $318,000, in Jackson $252. So it shows us where we fall with median home prices with our surrounding and partnering counties. On the commercial side of the house, here's the different percent changes in the different industrial sectors. Pretty interesting information. And when we look at the residential and compared to the commercial sales, I think we'll get to it here in a second. The residential is taxed at 11.5%. The commercial is at 25%. So the commercial does pay a higher tax than the residential. Here's the real estate for residential homes and apartments. And you can see the percent change. So right now there's a 9% increase in real estate assessment for valuations. They still need to go through the anyone that is claiming exemption or a different percentage increase. So by the time it all settles, Matt is recommending that it's probably going to be around 5% valuation increase, which is not a whole lot. It's a lot lower than the last several years, which have been double digit. Here's a breakout of the different classifications of property. The main ones, of course, are commercial and residential. Those two areas make up almost 95% of all the land in the area. So the other ones really don't have much of an impact on the numbers. So it's a very methodical process that they go through to try to determine valuations. It'll probably come in very close to this. We use it to help determine where we started our budget. We actually started, when we talked to him a month ago, he was thinking about 6%. So we started our budget process there. And then with this information shared last week, then we made some modifications to our proposed budget, starting at 5% versus 6%. And that's a $500,000 difference for the college from 5%, 1% change. But Board Finance Committee folks, I don't know if you want to add to that or if I misspoke anywhere.
No, I think you gave it accurately. And I don't know if other board members have questions. We might try to answer them.
I think my biggest question you just answered is what's that percentage difference going to mean for us when it comes to?
Can't hear you, Mary.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying that his last statement was answering my question. What's that percentage difference between 6% and 5%? And he says it's about 500,000.
Okay, all right. Hearing no other questions, then I appreciate the presentation. It's always good to get some preliminary numbers. Of course, we won't get anything final until we get closer to the actual budget season in the summer, but good to know a little bit better what to expect. Thank you. So, all right, next I would invite the presentation of the fiscal year 2026 preliminary budget considerations presented by Dr. Mosher.
All right, thank you, Chair Snard. And this is a presentation that in 95% of it was presented to the Board Finance Committee. Last week, there's been some modifications with some new information that we have. So you'll see some of the numbers are slightly different, et cetera, like including the 5%. But it's really good to get a start on this as early as we have so that we can determine what some of our next steps might be. I'm going to walk through, there's actually quite a bit of data with this because that's how the determinations are made, but also not forgetting why we're here, right? Because a bunch of numbers can be a bunch of numbers. But this is why we're really here, to inspire individuals and enrich our community one student at a time. And these are some of the success stories. I'll give you just a brief 30 seconds or so on each individual. So Lily was at a robotics competition as a student at F.L. Schlegel High School, and she heard about our FAME program in automation engineering, and she didn't have any plans for after high school, so she started interviewing for FAME. FAME, you have to be hired by a company first, and then that company puts you through the training. So she's already received a job at Catalent Pharmaceuticals. So she's paid while she's going to school at $47,500 a year, which is not a bad start being a freshman college student. And that will increase to more than $62,000 after graduation when they complete that FAME curriculum and apprenticeship work. And she had some wonderful things to say about the college and the program. Jason Miles, a slightly different situation. He was actually incarcerated in Lansing Correctional Facility, and we offer welding up there. We have for a long time. So he took our welding classes and was actually working at a company, Zephyr Products up there, who are great for the area. So he was working as a welder while he finished up his sentence. When he was released, Zephyr helped him get a job in Olathe for personal reasons, and then they approached him a couple of years later and asked him to come back to Zephyr. So now he's the welding trainer and the manager of the welding training program. So a great success story. Maria Urban, she was already in the healthcare field when she made the decision to return to school and improve her life. She went through our paramedic program, which is very extensive, and is now a practicing paramedic. And she says, my time at KCKCC has been spent mostly in the healthcare professionals, but I can attest to the fact that everyone here wants to see everyone succeed and will cheer you on along the way. So another great success story. Clemente is a great story. He actually went through our HVAC program, graduated in 2005, worked in the field for a while. In 2017, he opened up his own business in HVAC right here in Wyandotte County. So an original Dot, went to school, KCKCC, graduated worked here. Now he has a business that brings in over $2 million in revenue per year and over 20 employees. And now he's also opened up a wholesale supply store in the HVAC area. And I think he's right downtown, right, just off of Central a little bit. Oops, sorry. And then Stacy, she came to KCKCC for a while and then had children and raised her children and came back many years later. Did CNA, but realized that wasn't going to pay the bills with the children, with her kids. So she went into our IT program, graduated with honors, magna cum laude, with an associate degree in computer science. She went on to Park University, got her bachelor's in management, and now she works at a local company in Wyandotte County, where she's been for about 10 years and really has a much improved life because of what KCKCC did for her. So I realize that took some time, but that's really why we are here, so I think it's just as important as the numbers. Education, it really is the most powerful instrument for reducing poverty and inequality. It's well known around the world, and this statement came from World Bank in 2016, which I really like. So in Kansas and in other Midwestern states, this is the identification of jobs and what type of high-level skill they need, middle skill, low skill. So low skill is a high school diploma. High skill is, a bachelor's and above. Middle skills, that 50 to 55%, that is more than high school and less than a 4-year degree. So that just screams community colleges. So half of the jobs in our entire state need a community college certificate or degree. So unfortunately, this is Wyandotte County, and if you look at the minimum level of education that we have, and if you look at no degree in high school, that's 50% of our population, folks, working age population. So they don't have the skill sets to get these really good paying jobs. So that's what we're working on. There's stories start and kind of wander around and they change as they go. So kind of been having a little bit of fun doing a little myth busting here the last month or so. And these are some that come up all the time, that there's no good high paying jobs in Wyandotte County. Well, there definitely are. I'll show you. That we are the largest taxing entity in the county? No, we're not. We're the smallest. Tuition is $1,000 a credit hour. No, I'm sorry, it's $103 for residents, a little bit more. And my favorite is that we're building $1 million fountain down at the downtown center. So we've been out there and trying to share this news and try and get the truth out there, and I think we've had some pretty good response with that. As evident of high-paying jobs, if you look here, the 2023-2024 employment data, healthcare is on top with a number of jobs. Manufacturing is third, and we're doing a lot in those areas. If you look at the pay for manufacturing, it's higher than healthcare. So the average pay for manufacturing in Wyandotte County is $83,000 a year. That's why there's so much attention to our AET program. And we've got great healthcare programs, and over the 5 years, we've put over 1,900 healthcare professionals into the field, so we're very proud of that. All right, so now getting into more of the data, we're going to compare two different categories. One is with IPEDS, which is a national clearinghouse. You can see the community colleges that are in our peer comparison group that have similarities to KCKCC. So anything that's this green color is an IPEDS comparison. So this is our enrollment by demographic areas. The dark green is KCKCC, and the hashed green is our peer group. And you can see we're going up in a lot of the non-white categories, I'll just say, and our white category is down about 2%. So we have a lot of variety and demographics of students here at the college. So kind of compared, it's nice to compare to some of our peer groups. These are the percentage of students enrolled in distance education. One of the other myths that is out there that more than 50% of our students or 80% of our students take classes online, so we don't need all these buildings. Well, this data shows that we're at 19% exclusively online. Some that take at least a course or so is much lower than we thought, 4%. So it's a combination of 23%. So this also shows us an area where we can improve and get more online classes out there as well. Oh, I'll go back. The award level on the right-hand side, if you look at the top, that's the associate degree. It went down 48 awards in this last year. But if you look down at certificates of at least 12 weeks and less than a year, it went up 72. The country and the world is getting to recognize the value in a certificate, an industry-recognized certificate or college certificate. Tuition and fees. See, we're pretty consistent with our peers. We're a little lower, typically about $600 for an academic year, but we've been looking and increasing our tuition lately. We keep Wyandotte County as flat as we can. And then we have some additions to outside of Wyandotte County. This is a chart I'm loving to see and watch it progress. So since 2016, so pre-COVID, you can see the numbers were pretty steady and improving and staying right around that 107, 109,000 credit hours. COVID hit, we dropped down to 90, just like everyone else in the world. We didn't drop too far from there, and now we're on our way back up. So for 2025, I project that we'll add another 4,500 credit hours. So that'll put us at 94,000 credit hours. So you'll see that chart go up significantly, and 100 head count. So those are really good signs. This is a little bit small, but we track enrollment every single week, and we talk about it in President's Cabinet. So in the blue box, you can see that spring 2025 unduplicated head count is up by 5%. Right below that, the credit hours are up almost 8%. So we're getting more students, but our students are also taking more credit hours, and that's a really good sign for a college. Financial aid. So the percentage of our students, this is looking at first-time, full-time, degree-seeking students, about 70% of our students have some form or fashion of aids, grants, and scholarships, and then it's broken out there. And then the right-hand box shows the dollar amount, and we're pretty consistent with our peers. A little variance in our institutional grants, so it might be an area to look at. So retention, these charts, when you see this style chart, that means we're comparing to our peers in the state of Kansas. So our retention rate, right now we're ranked at number 8 at 63.4% as an institution. If they stay in the system and they get some more credit hours, then you can see it goes up to 66.2, but we're number 8 right now. Graduation and transfer out, we're actually beating our peer cohort, 3% in graduation and 7% in transfer. So we're doing better than the other 29 colleges that you saw on that one of those first charts. And we're outperforming our comparison group by far in our non-white categories. So it's great to see the success, and we're still doing very well in our white students' graduation as well. So this is looking back at the state, the graduation rate. The first one was retention. So this is graduation of all students. We are number 12. But there is a difference between metropolitan institutions and rural institutions. So KCKCC, Butler County, and Johnson are really our urban institutions. We are more than 10% ahead of Butler, which is great, and we're almost twice as high in our graduation rate than Johnson County Community College. So very proud of that.
Dr. Melcher, can I ask a quick
Yes,
question
yeah,
on
please.
that? And not that you probably do know the answer, but are we finding that we may have students that maybe don't graduate, but they're transferring? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's that transfer out number.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not that, because I think it can get the perception of they're taking classes forever, they're never graduating, versus they may take, however many credit hours they need and then maybe transfer on to a four-year institution.
And we only get this counted as if we know that they transferred too, so it's not a 100% accurate group. So it's probably much higher than that.
Okay.
These are just the ones that we are able to track. So this is the same chart, but looking at the iPads comparison up in the box in the top right-hand corner. And you can see for the last 7-8 years, we have exceeded our nationwide comparison group every single year. So there's a lot of student success data. Looking at staffing, because staffing is a major part of our budget. This is the full-time equivalent calculation for staff. You can see in our instructional area for this year, we are down quite a bit from our peers. Remember, some of our peers have higher levels of enrollment, which will need more staff. But also, we were very attentive and purposeful while our enrollment was down on not refilling faculty positions. And we will show you that later. But now enrollment is going up, so we do need to start budgeting for that again. Average salaries for faculty, this is the IPEDS comparison. So for all ranks, we are about $4,000 higher. For the professors, we are about $6,000 or $7,000 higher. Associate professor and the others are pretty well equal. So that's good to see that we're kind of on par with our peers for compensation.
And Dr. Mosier, that's based on that group of 29, not just,
yes, ma'am.
That's not necessarily looking at us in the metro.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Correct. Now this is coming back with a Kansas look, right? So this is only instructional expenses for the college. We're at 33%, 33.7%, but in the last 5 years, we've been able to bring our instructional expenses down by 10%. It's creeping back up again, but that's good. HR, Lorraine and her team, we've been working on the Gallagher compensation study. We just got this in the other day, so the timing was great. You are the first ones to be able to look at it. And it looked at colleges that you would be very familiar with their names. Let's see something.
Too small to read. Can you?
So there's about 70 positions that were benchmarked and 28 that were not benchmarked percent. But these are colleges like Ames Community College, Arapahoe, Central New Mexico, Emporia State University, Graceland University, Jefferson College, Moberly Area Community College, neighbors in the east, Oklahoma City Community College, Ozark Technical College, Parkland College, St. Louis Community College, Stark State, Tulsa Community College, Washburn University, University of St. Mary's. So it's a really good mix of very like institutions for us. So we determined at the beginning of the study, where do we want to be? Do we want to be in the highly competitive arena, the competitive, maybe slightly less than competitive? But we decided to be in that competitive rank because we have a lot going on. We don't have all the resources, though, that some of our colleagues have as well. So we were shooting to be in that competitive rank, and you're in that category if you're within 10 points above or below the midpoint. So just looking at large employment groups, again, looking where that blue box is, our comparison to the competitive area in the 50 percentile. So every single one of those, whether it's a plus or a minus, is easily within the 10%. The highest difference is 6%. Our staff are actually right on the same as. So this is good information, but Lorraine and her group have a lot of the individual job titles that they'll be looking at more with the compensation committee and then the college, et cetera. But it says we're really kind of where we need to be. And then total expenses, we are second from the bottom in the amount change, right? Which a low number is good. So in the 5-year change, we've only gone up 2%. And this is total expenses for the entire college, instructional, staff, equipment, et cetera. So we've been very, very cognizant on our spending these last 5 years or so, 6 years, which is shown by our fiscal numbers. We did complete the master plan. Construction only on that is $167 million. That doesn't include soft costs. It doesn't include FF&E. So we do need to continue to plan for the future while we work with the present. You know me, I'm big into economic development, workforce, et cetera. So 2024, Wyandotte County Economic Development Council, we brought in, the county did, $863 million in capital investments. That's buildings and equipment. Panasonic is not in this number, right, because it's in Johnson County. So this is pretty incredible. We will be over $1 billion this year. Yes, well over $1 billion. So we are the ones that they're coming to for training. You know, Johnson, we are their #1 trainer for Panasonic. I'll say that with no qualms at all. Orange EV, talking with Marvin Windows, and they're not even here yet. So we get an early start, and they rely on us. So for 2026, we've gotten together as a college and cabinet, extended cabinet. These are some of our priority areas that we want to focus on this next year. I'm not going to read them. So some of the real big ones, we want to be offering degrees for high school seniors where they get their high school diploma and a KCKCC certificate and degree at the same time. Focus on new programs, right-sizing programs, right-sizing spaces, preparing for the future. Transition into Aleutian Cloud, SaaS. That's going to be huge because it's going to increase our productivity greatly. But as you can see, SaaS is a very expensive move. That's the second item. We'll do another $31 million for downtown, and you can see some of these other needs that have been identified. The field house showers are really not usable. There might be a couple usable in each shower, but it's really not a pleasant place to be. And you can see some of the other programs that have been identified. And then for personnel, as I say, we've reduced our spending. We're trying to get a high voltage program started because that's a great career field for folks. I think we're going to make it happen. And then automotive technologies, welding, IT, biomanufacturing, math, automation engineering, construction, and then some student affairs folks, and then other staff and PD. Mill levy history, I think this is important, as even before my arrival, the board was very cognizant on keeping the mill flat where it needs to be, and a big focus on that. So you can see in 2024, we cut 1 mill. In that fiscal year, 1 mill equaled $1.97 million. So that was, to have that for FY24, 25, 26, that's a $6 million savings, tax savings for our community members. I've updated this one a little bit. Last year, going revenue neutral, it is equal to cutting 2.7 mills, and that was at $1.999 million a mill. Times 2.7 is $5.3 million in tax savings per year, to equal $10,600,000. So in total, in the last 2 years plus this year, just staying this way, we have, I'm going to say, saved the taxpayers $16 million in additional taxes, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. So I'm glad that we are staying focused on that. The myth that we're the highest taxing entity in the county, no, we're the lowest. Actually, in some of the new graphics, these are from last year, we're at 16 cents on the dollar, a tax dollar, and some are now 15 cents. So I just haven't updated this slide yet. So we are the lowest taxing entity in the county. With the information provided by Mr. Willard, again, looking at a 5% valuation increase, that would bring in $58.8 million. That is a change of $2.6 million from this year's budget. So it's really only a 2.5% increase to our overall budget. We'll talk more about that. The average home value, this was calculated before the meeting with Matt, because now it's like 223. So someone living in an average home, 1 meal cost 14 cents. This would be kind of like an equivalent of a 1.2, 1.3 mil. So it's really about 16, 17 cents if we went flat mill for the average homeowner. And then these numbers, we've already talked about the savings that we continue to watch and monitor. Kind of getting to the final slides. Again, I know they're data heavy, so I apologize, but looking at our projected revenues for the year, if we went flat, which again is highlighted, that'd bring total revenues to $133 million. But keep in mind, we're moving money out of reserves, so $31.5 million out of reserves. So that 105 right above that is more an accurate number of our normal operating budget minus the capital campaign. Expenses. So as we look at what we needed to do, salaries and benefits, a 3% increase, which really isn't a raise. It's keeping up with the cost of living. So it's kind of flat for our employees. Reserves, repairs, maintenance, strategic opportunities, et cetera, of all the requests that were sent in. So if we went flat with the mill levy right now and our current request, we're short just about $3 million. So my recommendation is that, for your consideration, is that we go with a flat mill levy and the college works on our expenses for this year, and then we bring you back a balanced budget. If we went up a little bit, you know, it would not be as painful. That's maybe not a good choice of words. there would be less reductions needing to be had. If we went down, every mill is $2.3 million in this year's calculation, so a half a mill is $1.15 million, whether you're adding it to the budget or subtracting it from the budget. But with what we're trying to do, preparing for the future, but also investing in the present, that's where I believe we need to be. We know we have great ROI for our community, and we've been sharing this information. But then I would just leave with you this last thought is this is really why we're here. And it does take money to operate the college. New programs are very expensive. We have a lot of demand, as you see enrollment going up, but it is very expensive to start these programs. So with that, I appreciate the time that you've given me for this, and would take any questions or look at different slides, whatever the board would like to do.
Dr. Mosier, how much does Higher Learning Commission say that we should have in reserve?
They
How
don't
many
give
months?
they don't give an exact number, but it's usually 3 to 6 months. So when we transition the money going to, that's really restricted for the downtown project, will be at 5 months reserves. So we'll be right in line with what HLC's kind of guidance is.
Anybody else?
Go ahead, Don.
So, Dr. Mosier, can you go back to the slide?
Yeah.
Showing the
Swap images.
revenues, yeah, right, yeah. Okay, so if this board were to consider going revenue neutral based on the 5%, what would that do for us? Where would that leave us, I should say?
It's on the far right-hand column. Let me see, is that revenue? Make sure I got, yes, far right-hand column is revenue neutral. We would be short, I believe that says $5.5 million.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions? Anybody? I have a comment if no, but I want to get the questions in first.
Is that how far short we would be to your proposed budget, you're saying, or that's what the reduction versus a flat mill rate would be? Just
That
clarifying.
would be the mill, that would be all revenue, including the mill, in comparison to the requests that have been put forward for this year. The difference in revenue between flat and revenue neutral flat is that 5? Is that 59.8? The county property tax up top? Let me see here. It's 58.8. If we went revenue neutral, we would go to the far right. It would be 56.2. So it'd be an additional, well, it'd be a reduction of $2.55 million.
Okay.
In just the county property tax reduction.
Right.
That's what I wanted to clarify, I guess, was just to show that it's that 5 point something million is not the additional revenue we'd receive from increase in valuation. It's more like 2 point.
Yeah,
something you said.
I'm taking this number where the mill levy is flat, and I'm subtracting this number of revenue neutral for about 2.55.
So I heard a good one yesterday. I just have to share it with you because, you know, of all the social media trolls and different things on there. Many of you, or most of you may know, or many of you know, you know, Piper's got a school bond, Piper USD 203, voting to date. And it's a $34 million bond. So my wife goes to her hairdresser yesterday, and her hairdresser comments that if you want to know what people are thinking, go to the barbershop or the beauty shop, right? So her hairdresser says, yeah, what that bond is 34 million, whatever it is, and the community college are going to get 50% of that.
We can add that.
Which is absolute bunk and ridiculous, but it gets better. Then we're going to take the 50% that we get, and we're going to Leavenworth County and build something. So I don't know how people get all this all twisted up and commingled and, you know, messed up. But as we well know, it gets people fired up. You know, so I just want everybody to be aware of what's rolling around out there and just how quickly it can spin up out of control into something that doesn't look anything like what we're doing. And so we have to know it, we have to be well versed in it, and we have to be able to put that stuff down, if you will, as it pops up. And I commend Brad. He beats me to it on Nextdoor, and I don't do a lot of Facebook, but especially on Nextdoor, I'll read something and then I'll go to the comments, and Brad's already commented. And Dr. Moses commented on it as well. Now, sometimes, you know, people's minds are made up, so they don't want to be confused with the facts, and they won't accept what it is we're saying, because, you know, we're all corrupt, and it's just more evidence for them of how corrupt we are. We're just either lying to them or hiding it from them. And so I just want to encourage any public members who are watching here. This has been very open and transparent, as it is every month. And we welcome you to follow along with us, and don't just take your neighbor's word, because unless your neighbor's Brad Isnard, you probably don't know what the truth or what the accurate information is. And as trustees, I encourage us all to know and be well versed and prepared to respond. And even if you don't know, tell them you'll get the answer and get back to them, you know, and you can get an answer pretty quick. So that's my comment. That's all I have.
Yeah, thank you, Trustee Ash. And I agree. It's unfortunate, some of the rhetoric that's out there that's been around, and I have tried to present facts where there may be alternative facts, I think is a word I've heard used before. I think that there is truthfully out there at this point people who are trying to spin up false information just to get a rise out of people, and that's too bad. I think that everyone is concerned about taxes overall. We all care about that topic. The fight is a good one. It does not help anyone to make things up or try to exaggerate the truth to try and make your case, because there's so much good work that's being done, so many allies on both sides of the political spectrum that are in support of the work that the college is doing, the economic development that we're seeing in this county. It's just too bad to see kind of the same voices over and over again beating this drum that we're doing something wrong, that it's all corrupt. It's hard to argue with someone who's just set in that, and it will not accept data or any type of argument to the contrary. So,
one of the things I touched on, but one thing to consider is when we're looking at residential and commercial, honestly, both of them provide about 50-50 revenue to the college, even with exemptions and such. Now, so when we're typically hearing from residents, right? But the commercial side of the house is equivalent in dollars, very close to equivalent in dollars that's supporting the college. And so that kind of cuts what people think in the thought process. The residential percentage commitment to the college is probably lower because everyone looks at this $58 million and thinks it's all coming from residential. Well, it's not. You know, half of that's coming from commercial as well. And we have to be ready to train. I'm getting calls. I just did an article with Golden Shovel about the data centers and stuff I'll talk more about. If the data centers come to Wyandotte County, and there could be anywhere between 1 and 6, each one is $2 billion to build. It'll also put into the revenue, there are no incentives for these, is a current understanding.
Well, that passed out of planning last night, 6-0, to go to the full commission in favor of it.
That's
so,
great.
You know, that's huge for us because there's no tax abatement there. They're going to pay full taxes from jump. About $310,000 a building times 6 buildings every year.
Because that would have been the next question is.
To the college, that's the college.
Yeah, just the college. Yeah, I've got
that's
that.
not even count Piper Schools cut.
It's like 837,000. Or the tax generation from that, if we get 6, is $500 million a year to the overall.
Once
county.
they get it fully, built out.
It'll take a while. But
which will take a couple of years, obviously, but.
So we have to support these things, but they're coming to us for training, and we have to be able to provide it.
So there was a slide that you shared, and I'll probably go back and review this one anyway, that I believe showed that our graduation count was higher than Johnson County. Did I see that correctly? I wanted to kind of be like Trustee Ash and say it out loud, just so it could be heard.
Yeah. It's about 36% to 17%.
I think that's awesome, especially thinking of some of the comments that we've heard in our trustee meetings from community members. I think that's awesome to hear that.
We're doing a lot of really good work. Everyone's really stepped up and doing some fabulous things.
I saw the graduation year 2021 on the screen. Is that updated on the website now?
It's because they look at, when they pull those, depending on the organization, you have to look at a 3-year look back. And some of them are reported by cohort year. So if it says 2020, that's the 2020 cohort year. So that's when they started. So then if you look at 150%, that would be 2020 to be 20, for a 2-year degree, that's 3 years. So that's 2023. Okay. So there's a lag in reporting for graduation.
Because I know, we all got that email from the community person, group that was saying that the latest graduation rates we had was 2019.
Yeah.
And I looked, and that was in December. The latest thing on there was 2019.
It's cohort 2019, but we have cohort 2020 online. It's in our iPads report that's up there. And then they also compare the community college graduation rate to the 4-year university rate. That's a completely different population. And people who are going to the 4 years, they're mostly incoming from other states. They have financial resources and all these other resources available to them. So their graduation rates are much higher than any community college across the state. So it's kind of apples and oranges comparison. So even those little things, when they say, well, you're half of what the universities are, I'm like, well, that's because we don't compare to that. We compare to our community colleges, and we have a higher graduation rate for all 8 years than our 29 iPads comparison group. that's an apples to apples comparison.
I've seen comparisons too made to high school graduation rates, and the state says you have to go to high school, you have to attend, and so of course the rate is going to be high, should be. But many of our students may come to us for a short time to get trained up in one area and then go right back into the job that they already have. They just needed some extra skills in something. So there's just so many different things in the 2-year format that could happen that you definitely do have to look at comparables the right way.
Yeah, well said.
That's all I have.
If I'm, and so my request for tonight is to gain some guidance from the board on how you would like us to proceed from here. Like if we were to stick with the flat levy, we would go back in cabinet, extended cabinet, and make those $2.9 million in cuts. And then the next meeting, then we would bring you a balanced budget. So we just need direction. I'm sorry.
I would prefer revenue neutral.
You want to look at the numbers for revenue neutral and what things would need to be cut? Is that what you?
No, I just said I would prefer revenue neutral.
Oh. Well, you know, I'm somewhere between revenue neutral and what you're proposing here, somewhere in there, but I'd kind of like to know a little more exact. I know you can't give us exact, but I'd like to know a little bit more about what the impact would be, particularly on students, you know, not just what the number is.
Yes.
Because like you said, the last slide there is why we're here, you know, the students. So if we look at that, what does that do, you know, to what would the impact be on the students particularly?
Sure. And the strategy is how I would go about it, and working with the team is not just, people say, well, just cut reserves. Well, we can't, because we have R&R, we have old roofs, we have all these things. So it would be a balance of cuts to the present and cuts to the future.
When you say flat, does that mean that we're not going to get any more, or you're talking about the mill rate?
The mill levy flat.
The mill levy flat.
Yes.
Keeping the mill levy flat.
We would
Yeah.
not increase it. It would stay from where it was last year.
Yes. Randy, can you pull my screen? Thank you. Yeah, so that's a good question. So in yellow is the last 3 years, right? So from 23 to 24, we cut a mill. From 24 to 25, we cut 2.7 mills. Let me get my cursor over there. Here. And again, in those cuts, we've reduced tax burden that could have been $16 million higher. So by requesting to go flat, it would be at 21.681 mills. If we went revenue neutral, it would cut our mills by 2 or something.
Right.
And every mill is approximately $2.3 million. And that would be from what we have planned to date to what we could do, a reduction of over $5 million on top of $5 million last year, and $2 million a year from the year prior. And I can tell you it will impact the programs that we can offer, the experiences that the students will have, and a lot of different things that really the students need to experience or have available to them, right? So we don't start new programs that cost high money, but that's where the job demand is, right? We don't, so no matter what, it's going to have
It's going to have an impact.
Yeah, if
I
it's
would,
support.
I personally would like to see us see the numbers for a flat levy. Because if I'm hearing us right, flat levy says we're not asking for a higher percentage or additional meals. We're just asking, can we keep our meals the same? And whatever that percentage is of the revenue, that's what we get. And that's based on the property taxes from commercial and residential. Is that right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Primarily, yeah. And it could come in at 4.5, folks.
Yeah.
Matt was saying 4 to 5. And this is such a small increase where we've made major cuts in the last 2 years. Greg Mosier's opinion is going to be hard to remain sustainable, and it's going to be hard to keep our facilities in the shape that they need to be. There's a lot of things that would go with another reduction from the planned items of $5.5 million. Which is this number over here.
So what I'm hearing so far is we've got one interested in seeing, or at least two that have spoken up so far, in seeing a plan for what the reductions would look like to get us to revenue neutral. We've got one request, which I would also request personally, for what it looks like with a flat mill levy to last year. And then if there's any interest, I would also like to see a third scenario of what cuts would be required to do the 1 mil reduction that we're seeing. So we've got kind of both ends of the spectrum there, and then right in the middle.
Yeah, I think
Does that sound reasonable?
I like that.
Because-
Personally, I like that strategy of having.
Yeah. So it's not really in the middle, though.
No,
I
it's not-
understand
not-
the thought process, because the increase from the revenue neutral to where we are, it's like 1.3 mils. So the 1 mil reduction is $5.25 million. So it's just darn near the same as revenue neutral because we're starting at such a low point.
Sorry, I thought I heard you say earlier it was 2 point something, so that's where I came up with
Right.
1. But the halfway point is kind of what I was getting at.
So here, if we round flat, we'll call it 3 million. Actually, and then revenue neutral is 5.5. Middle-ish, and we don't have to go in half-point increments, is 4 million. So it'd be close to, middle would somewhat be close to a $0.5 mil, because we're starting off with such low numbers to begin with.
And I think maybe where we're getting confused is we're back to the slide where we're talking about increase, decrease versus the planned expenses. I'm talking about just the revenue, so we can keep it on the mill levy topic.
Yeah, the numbers will be the same with the reductions. It's just, I'm sorry, in a different line. So here, flat is 58.8. Revenue neutral is 56.25, so 58. That's we'll call it 2.5 mil difference between flat and revenue neutral. Looking at this chart, not 2.5 mils, I'm sorry, million. 2.5 million. A mil is about 2.3. So that's kind of bringing us back to this $0.5 mil,
Okay.
which is 57.6, which is 1.2 million reduction at $0.5 mil.
Okay, that helps clarify a lot. So we're saying that essentially revenue neutral would be cutting about $1 mil approximately.
Yes.
So halfway point, we'd be talking about the 0.5, and flat mill levy, we're talking about just the percentage increase then evaluations that everyone individually sees is what the difference for them would be.
Yeah,
Okay.
if we look
that
at the,
helps.
yes, I'm sorry. If we look at the current column, we're at 56.2, and flat is 58.8, so that's a $2.6 million difference. And again, a mill is about 2.3 million, so it's just a little over one mill equivalent, if you can use that language.
So board, are we thinking we still need the 3 scenarios, or do we just need flat mill levy and revenue neutral? Since we're talking about a 1 mil difference really in total.
I gave my request, and Trustee Andrew gave hers.
The reason I'm kind of putting us on the spot to give some answers tonight is because we're shaping the work that they're going to do for the next few months. And having been on the other side of the room in this, while this discussion's taking place.
Okay, Randy.
We hope that we can tell them kind of up front what we're wanting to see instead of surprising them and giving them a short time frame later for things, so.
We got to give them time to do their work.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to challenge you that if someone does not give a thought at this point for whatever reason, that, I feel confident, comfortable that if you were to call me personally at home and we could talk about things, I'd feel comfortable doing that. I'm sure you would probably feel comfortable, because I think I'm going to wait and see, but not too long.
Yeah, I'm certainly not saying we need to make a decision on what the final budget we would choose would be. I think we're just talking about how many
would we
scenarios
like
do
to
we
see?
want them to bring
How many
before
scenarios,
us.
right.
Yeah.
And I think certainly no more than, we already have one. We know what flat is, okay, right? I mean, that's what you showed us. That's what you presented.
We still have to cut $3 million flat, so not really.
Okay, so we'll have flat, we'll have revenue neutral, and a third one. We're asking for no more than 3 scenarios, right? I mean, or did I miss something somewhere, Brad?
So the thing that we're maybe leaving out of the equation, if we think about it, is that even keeping a flat mill rate, so our increase in revenue is whatever the percentage evaluation increase
Right.
is, we've still got employee raises, we've got inflation on everyday things,
Right.
Utilities that have gone up. So that is where, even if we keep the mill rate flat, we would have the 3.3 million in cuts already. So, okay.
And if I may request too, it's a lot of, what you're asking for is a lot of work. And to put 3 different scenarios together and, cutting from 3 million to 5.5 million, it does take a lot of time to do it meaningfully.
Well, so we want to look at flat and revenue neutral?
I
Speak up,
think
folks.
so, considering the information, from senior citizens in the community, yeah, let's look at the revenue neutral. It's a hard place to be because we've got to operate the college, but we've also got to take into consideration the senior citizens who are, about to lose their homes.
Yeah, I agree with you, yeah.
Okay, consensus I've heard is that we'd like a scenario for flat mill rate and revenue neutral. So I think we've got our direction. We're good?
Very good, thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you, board. If there's no other questions or comments, we'll move to the next agenda item this evening, which I would invite the presentation of board protocol presented by Mr. Greg Goheen, college attorney.
Good evening, Board. You guys always save the fun topics for the lawyers, so that's a good thing, I guess. I don't have anything exciting like the students we saw earlier to add to my presentation, or do I have PowerPoint slides that help you navigate through the difficult decisions you guys have to make as they relate to the budget and the budgeting process. It's been some time since I've spoken to the board about the protocols and the obligations that the board members have toward each other, toward the community, toward your role as elected officials with the community college. And so it occurred to me, particularly with the passage of the updates to the board handbook I think it was 2 months ago now, that it would be an appropriate time to kind of revisit some of those items in the handbook and to talk a little bit about the obligations you guys have as board members and the importance or critical aspects of that. And so a couple things just to sort of start with is that your obligations as elected officials obviously begin and revolve around the ethical code that exists for elected officials, but also for the statutes that apply to community colleges, which you guys are all familiar with. It starts at 71-201, as well as the Open Meetings Act, which is 75-4317. And I encourage you guys to take a look at those from time to time. Lawyers like to look at them. Members of the public like to look at them. I think it's important for board members to look at them and remind themselves of what those statutes entail. Additionally, I think it's important for you guys to take a look at your board policies. And I do want to commend the board. I think you guys did an excellent job of putting together your Board of Trustees handbook to really summarize a lot of those things and really talk about some of how you guys interact with each other, with the community, with staff, with faculty, with students, and how that business is handled. And I think that those things are critically important to the operation of the college as a whole. I think it reflects importantly upon how you guys are perceived by the community, by the students, by the faculty, and how you present yourselves and how you communicate with each other, and how you go about the business of the board itself. One of the reminders, or a couple of the reminders I want to get to this evening that just relate to some issues as to what that looks like. It's important to recognize that as a board member, particularly as an individual board member, you have no power or authority other than as a unit. You guys vote in blocks at open meetings. Those open meeting discussions that you have, the votes that you take, are your role as an elected official. You are not administrators of the college. You hire people to be administrators of the college. You're not faculty. You hire people to teach the students in the college. You're not facilities personnel who go about making repairs to the college. You're ones who hear the reports, make the decisions, have discussions to navigate what that looks like and give direction and policy level determinations to the college. And I think that's a very critical and important role to have. I think it's also important to discuss a little bit about because you're a individualized, or individuals who have your own interests and your own experiences that you bring to the table when you're voting on things, when you're discussing things, it's important to navigate that process in a way that comes across in a civil manner, that comes across in a manner where you guys are looking at your obligations as it relates to confidentiality, as it relates to being correct in factual statements made to the public, factual statements made in presentations to or discussions with other members of the board, with members of the community, so that the information the college is putting out is accurate information. It's information that doesn't damage the college. It's information that doesn't breach confidentiality. And so in terms of looking at some of the highlights of your handbook, I wanted to encourage each of you to kind of take a look at pages 23, 24, and I think 25, which really talk about ethics and the law and what trustee conduct and expectations are. Some of the things that are important to remember is that trustees have to remember first and foremost the obligation of every trustee is to represent the general interests of the college communities. Your role, and we've talked a lot about it this evening, you've heard presentations about why we're here, what our purpose is. It's for the students. It's to provide educational services for those students so that we can continue to grow that community and be effectual in that regard. Trustee conduct, and you guys have some highlighted areas here that I think are very important. civility and decorum and consideration for others. You have to remember that when you're in the public, when you're in board meetings, when you're in committee meetings, when you're giving presentations, when you're attending things, how important it is to maintain effective professional communication, to avoid being engaged in bitter arguments, using discourteous language, using inflammatory language at any of those kinds of relationships, because it will deteriorate from the ability of you to be effective as a board member. It'll also deteriorate from your ability to navigate on behalf of the college and have the college continue to be sort of the star in the community. It's important that your board president relationship be maintained in a respectful manner, that the concerns you have with the president are directed through the processes that you guys have laid out in connection with your handbook and what those lines of communication look like. You don't need to be communicating. We've got negotiations as an example coming up. It's important that the negotiation process go through the statutory process that's set out, bargained at the table, not having communications outside of the table. Communications with staff and students, again, it's important that the messaging from the college be the messaging from the college, and as you have individual discussions, that you not take on grievances or things of that nature outside of the process, because it can have negative impacts on how those processes that were carefully developed, sometimes negotiated with faculty, sometimes set forth in the student code of conduct, that those outside discussions can lead to detrimental results from both an ethical and a legal standpoint. It's also important that when we are looking at communications that we maintain confidentiality. We talked about the open meetings. We can go into closed session from time to time, and when we go into closed session, those are for specifically outlined items that can include things like personnel, where you have confidential personnel information that can be discussed. It can include confidential student information, where it's critical to keep that information confidential. A whole host of things that we can go into, attorney consultations, where we have attorney-client privilege, labor negotiations, even deliberations where we're acting in a quasi-judicial capacity, or security reasons. All of those things are statutorily allowed or permitted because they serve a purpose, and it's very critical that we don't have information coming out of those sessions that is discussed in the public, miscommunicated to the public, where it may be presented in a manner that's not consistent with the factual information that's presented, or articulated as a basis for arguing about positions outside of that executive session. That confidentiality is important. It's important to the people that are involved in the confidentiality aspect of it, and it's important that we don't violate those provisions, because that can lead to, again, legal consequences. We have mechanisms in place. You've got them in your handbook for discussing those issues. If there are issues that you have or concerns you have about information that you're presented, or questions you have about whether the information that you've obtained through your work as a board member is something that can be shared publicly or to get clarified, your mechanisms include going through the board chair, going through administration, through the board, or through the President Mosier, to get information from myself. You can seek opinions from myself or advice from myself through that aspect, or convene executive sessions yourself to discuss those items to make sure that you've got clarity and we've got purpose and direction. Once the board acts or takes action, that those actions are the actions of the board and need to be adhered to and followed by all the board members, so that, again, that we have a cohesive and effective board that can effectively lead and govern the college and adopt the policies and provide the kind of leadership that we need for the college. So my topic is really just that, to try to give some reminders. These are important things. It becomes sometimes difficult to remember these things as we advocate for positions or as we discuss things, but that reminder, I think, is very important, particularly as we head into sort of the end of the school year, where we have certain topics and things that we need to discuss, and we need to make sure that we engage in those discussions in a manner that's going to be ethical, that's going to be professional, and it's going to honor our obligations as elected officials and as members of the college board. So with that, I'll leave you, and hopefully on to brighter topics as the rest of the evening progresses. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Any questions, comments from the board? All right. Moving right on into the next item on our agenda then would be the audience to patrons and petitioners. At this time, I'd invite the public to raise their hands in the chat or approach the podium for the opportunity to address the board. Addressees must state their name and address for the record before making their comment or question, and there is a 3-minute time limit. Do we have anyone in the chat?
There is no one in the chat.
Thank you. And seeing none approaching the podium, we will close the audience to patrons and petitioners. Next, we move into the recognitions and presentations. I would invite the presentation of the Student Affairs Division Annual Update presented by Mr. Brady Beckman, Director of Student Success and Retention. Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening, y'all. The work you do is hard. Appreciate it. I'll try to spice things up a little bit if possible. But my name is Brady Beckman. I'm the Director of Student Success and Retention here at KCKCC. Just want to thank you for letting me talk about the Student Success Center and our vision. I want to start with this. I'm so proud of the energy that's being directed towards student success at the college right now. I truly believe that we're creating a student experience that stands out for our students, not just locally, but nationally. We're leveraging our incredible people, using smarter technology, and ensuring that students have such a great experience that I think they'd never want to go anywhere else for their education or their upskilling or their credentialing. So a lot of work to do, but it's exciting to be a part of that momentum right now. Really quickly, Student Success Center, our 3 core functions are student success advising, career services, as well as placement and evaluation. A couple of years ago, we shifted to a guided pathways advising model. This change, I think, has really had a major impact on our retention, our engagement with students and their experience. It's a front-loaded model, and building student autonomy is really the goal. Our advising cycle is pretty simple. We want to guide and teach students early, empower them often, celebrate their successes, but then step back a little bit once they've gained some confidence here at the college. So, a couple of recent initiatives that have really been driving this. We've revamped our early assist program to really catch, student warning signs earlier. We've also created course maps for all of our academic programs and certificates, which has been an incredible lift with our academic divisions and our crew in the Student Success Center. But now we offer our students semester by semester guidance, which boosts student momentum and completion rates. Got a sample here. This is our computer software technology program. No, that's very small on the screen. We're giving these to all new students. They're also published on our website, and you'd be surprised at how much they appreciate them, and just to have a guide they can put on their refrigerator at home and kind of see the finish line. Month to month and year over year, we've seen incredible growth in student volume in the Student Success Center. Looking at the last 3 years, there's only been 1 month that we failed to see an increase in student traffic compared to the previous year. So we've been really busy. If you take a look, we've actually experienced a 71% increase in our in-person just advising since 2022. I think this is a testament to the hardworking people that we have in our office, and it also shows that students are trusting us and still valuing our support, in a time when they can get on their phones for everything. That said, our long-term goal, it's not higher volume, it's a seamless student experience. And from advising to planning to enrollment, we want the process to be so clear and intuitive to our students and help them feel autonomous and empowered to navigate our systems on their own. Less friction, more flow, allowing our advisors to have conversations in their office with students that are more meaningful. Career services, going through quick. Major strides in connecting, learning to real-world opportunities. Danielle Frieders is our career services leader. Recently launched a faculty toolkit to embed career conversations into our classrooms and curriculum. We've also renewed our focus on graduation and first destination surveys to better track student outcomes. I mean, that's the business we're in, right? And these outcomes, we just have to know. So, a couple of big things too since last April. We've had 165 employers on our campus. Career Services has made 67 classroom visits. And our tech career fair, which is in this room right here in the fall and spring, we've had over 80 employers at each and almost 400 students at each event. A couple of cool pictures from this very room that I like to share. We had students all the way out to the very entrance of the building.
1 minute.
I was so proud of the way our students engaged our employers. We've had a couple actually reach back out to us and let us know that they've hired students from our fairs. So, this is education in action, and this is something that we're really proud to see. Last slide, just really quick, kind of looking ahead, the Student Success Center, we're really hyper-focused on 3 priority areas. We're working to improve our admit to enroll conversion by being more proactive with our newly admitted students, making sure they understand next steps and really nurturing and supporting them from start to enrollment. Our retention rates are growing steadily. I think the first-time full-time cohort there is about 50% from the 23 cohort. That national average is 52. We want to be above that this year, and then we want to just keep going and going and going. Lastly, really excited about the college's investment in technology, especially tools that make the student experience easier, and that does not go unnoticed. We really appreciate that. We want to make the experience more personalized and accessible for students. So that's all I have. I just want to thank you, KCKCC leadership sitting over there, Board of Trustees. Student success is #1 priority in our strategic plan. That means so much to us and the folks that are putting in good work with our students. And I think that's really starting to show year in and year out. So appreciate all the support, really excited about the future. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
No question, but congratulations on making things easier for the student.
I'm trying to do that, yeah.
And I know having that path already mapped out is wonderful.
It helps, yeah. And we want to kind of move above and beyond that. Technologically, there's really great things out there, and students now they can pull up an Uber and have a car at their house and get to where they need to go in 3 minutes. We want to make that student experience personal, but also really easy for students too, so they can navigate their enrollment decisions as well.
Making great progress. Keep going.
Appreciate that.
It's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you. Well
Brady.
done.
Yeah.
Please pass along our gratitude to the whole
Yes.
team.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
I do have one more. Just
Yes,
a
ma'am.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I know that we have freshman seminar for the freshmen. Does that include adult freshmen, or are we just doing the young folk?
It includes everyone
Okay.
that enters our college with less than 30 transfer credit hours. So
Okay.
they do have 30 hours at a different institution. That does include, our adult students, anybody that didn't come in already with 30 hours. So we're really trying to push that to happen in the first semester for all of our students. We've seen students take that towards the end, and we don't like that. So that is a great kind of mechanism we have to help students learn not only about the college, just how to be a better student. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job. All right, next on our agenda this evening, we move into the board committee reports. And with Trustee Criswell not in attendance this evening, we would begin with the Board Finance Committee. I would ask if either of our other Finance Committee members would like to step in and give that report, or would you like to just have Dr. Schulte give his report later?
I think we're probably going to save most of it for Dr. Schulte, but we did meet. We did discuss, we had this special presentation from Matt. Many of you attended that via Zoom, and then the Finance Committee met, and we had a good, discussion, reviewed all the pertinent reports, and, voted to move a few of them to the full board for your review. And so, they're kind of in your packet. Dr. Schulte is going to walk us through it all, a little bit later. It is convoluted a little bit, if you will, because of a couple factors. Number one, it's budget season, so we're looking at a lot. Our auditor was on with the presentation, with Matt and so forth, and then the other thing is, what's going on in the State House up at Topeka, so, which is in recess right now. So that doesn't mean it's calm, though. You know what I mean? But It's been a real struggle. It's been a real battle, but our team, led by Heather, various presidents, a number of trustees, has been, really battling. And I do want to give a public shout out to Senator Pat Petty, who really went to bat for us, pretty significantly in the committee, and so we're not done. We're probably going to get less money from the state than we got last year, but I don't want to make any predictions. I'll just say we're still battling, we're still working it, and we've developed some more allies, to go along with this, and I think the forecast is brighter this month than it was last month. I don't know. Dr. Mosher, you want to add anything to that part of it?
Yeah, I think overall there are bills that have been passed. We know the governor's interest in either vetoing or not vetoing bills to a certain level. I do think it's safe to say that we will lose very close to $1 million from the state, along with everything else. So we do need to be cognizant of that. Hopefully we can keep it, in the under $1 million. It'd be nice to keep it in 6 figures. If it goes above 6 figures, it's going to take a large jump above 6 figures.
Yeah, I think at one time there was a number floating around that it could have been as bad as 7 million, maybe, if I remember correctly.
The 7 million has been cut.
That has been cut.
Yes, that's already agreed upon cut. In addition to that, there's some other areas with in the workforce development area, with the apprenticeship area and things like that. But the 7 million cut is equal to right about $750,000 for KCKCC. We believe there's an easy another $100,000 that will be cut, and then there's a couple other ones that are small. So Heather's doing a great job, like you say, and even in the off session, we'll be having some conversations with our state legislators for sure.
So we'll reserve the majority of it, for Dr. Schulte when he comes and lays it out for you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Trustee Ash. We have a motion to accept the report, please.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you again. Next up, the Board Policy Committee with Trustee Hoskins Sutton. Anything to report this evening?
Yes, we did meet, and thank you to Lorraine for all the work that she did, because we thought we had policies to bring this week, but there was a big outcry for the building temperature, so they are reworking it, and College Senate needs to see it, and so hopefully we will bring something back in May for approval, because we don't meet during the summer because students and faculty, the Senates aren't here. But yes, hopefully we'll have something for you next month to look at.
All right, thank you. We have a motion to accept that report, please.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, the Board Community Engagement Committee, Vice Chair Ricketts.
Well, good evening, everyone. We did have an opportunity to meet last week. We had a good discussion. The fabulous Chris Green, I believe she's in here somewhere, has helped us put together our agenda for our upcoming in-person session that will include the community members that are a part of the committee. So we are looking forward to that. We have some very strategic conversations that we'll be sharing with them, including some of our documentation that is already put together by the college. It goes back to some of the conversations we've had as a board in handling some of the myths and misinformation that has been spread out there on social media. So we will take care of that. We will also have a tour and show them some of the magnificent things that have happened on the college campus. Some of them haven't been on the campus in a while, so it will be good for them to see that. But it will be fun, it will be structured, and it will really be about looking for those that can be advocates for the college, not just delivering information, but also bring us some information back. I always think it's important for us to hear what the word is on the street so that we know what community members are saying and thinking about the college, and see if there's anything that we need to share back and put it into the hands of Dr. Mosier and his staff to address. So that is coming up next week, and we're looking forward to it.
Thank you, Vice Chair Ricketts. Any questions, comments from the board? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve that report?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, the ACCT and KACC delegates report. Trustee Ash.
Yeah, so there's not much to talk about on the ACCT front yet. I will tell you that the Governance and Bylaws Committee met by Zoom because we had to completely rework the handbook. We had to completely rework the handbook, the member handbook, based on what Trustee Sutton has shared with us regarding the changes had to be made to the former DEI committee. And so there were a lot of implications, language. It was really just, basically language. And so our committee, they mocked it up. They sent it to committee members. We reviewed it. We had a meeting. We caught one additional thing, which was good. And I saw in the email it has been sent back out to us, but I have not had a chance to look at it or review it yet. So the Congress is in New Orleans this year in October, and at this point, as far as ACCT goes, Trustee Sutton, you want to say anything about your committee? I'm not sure what work your committee has done.
Oh, we have met several times because we had that charge to completely rework it, and so we've done that, and now it will go to the Board of Directors. So we met probably 3 or 4 times in a subcommittee, and then last week, or I think it was the same day that Ji-Hang was here, was the Western Region meeting, and I attended that on Zoom as well. So just a lot of information just being shared and changes.
Yeah.
So, but we've reworked it, and I think everyone is pleased with it. What is his name? The chair, Rich Futaki.
Oh,
Yes, he sat in on most of our meetings, and he seemed to be pleased with it, but he's going to take it back to the directors. And so I don't know if they're going to report back to us one more time before we meet in New Orleans, or if that will be like the final, but yes.
As far as KCKCC goes, I already spoke to you a little bit about what's been going on there, but this past Friday, we did have the annual PTK recognition program, Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society recognition program in Topeka. And Trustee Sutton and I attended along with Jerry Pope and
Dr. Tucker.
I'm sorry, yes.
Dr. Tucker.
Right, from HR.
No, from Phi Theta Kappa.
Stacy Tucker
Stacy
from
Tucker, yeah.
PTK,
Phi Theta Kappa.
but
And Cecilia Brewer.
Christina Brewer, right.
Cecilia.
I'm sorry, yeah, okay. And we had one student who was recognized, and there were several from across the state. And then there was an KACC meeting, afterwards, where some business was conducted. Basically, most of the business centered around, we had a review of Heather's contract, and the executive committee made a proposal to a contract which she accepted. We presented that to the membership, and it was approved there. And then there was a lot of discussion about, we're not really sure why Heather or whatever executive director is engaged and involved with the PTK, but it's really not good timing in terms of engage with the PTK, in terms of planning the event, making the arrangements, getting the RSVPs, coordinating the students attending, putting the program together and all that type thing. So the executive committee discussed it at length in our meeting before the membership meeting, and then we presented at the big meeting that we don't think that should be part of Heather's duties and responsibilities, particularly for the time frame in which it occurs. And this year, as well as last year, the PTK luncheon and recognition occurred on the last day of the legislative session. That's not the day for Heather to be not at the Capitol. That is not the day for Heather to be not at the Capitol. So we had made a recommendation that, we're talk with the statewide PTK coordinator, and I think each college has a coordinator within their college, and I think they can maybe collaborate on that and, put it together and see how we're going to do it. And they did discuss doing them in regions. So not all 19 of the colleges would come to one location at the same time and recognize them all, but we would do them within about 4 regions across the state. And then the colleges from that region would attend. And there's some evidence of belief that if that happened, more parents and or family members would be able to attend because they don't have to take the day off work, plan, 5 hours of travel from western Kansas to, Topeka or Junction City or somewhere to, to have this program. So anyway, we'll see what that looks like moving forward, but Heather's not going to be engaged in, planning and coordinating and putting that on, anymore. So we'll figure out what that, looks like and how they want to do the recognition. So, and really that was about it. We adjourned so that everybody gets started back home.
The part that I wasn't clear on is if it does go regional, will we have like 4 regional meetings that day? Or because, now we just have one meeting with all the trustees from all the community colleges that are present. But if it goes region, will there be 4 different meetings happening after the Phi Theta Kappa, or will we just have a separate meeting? I know you're an officer, so that's why I'm asking you.
Well, they would be just that. They would be regional. So, for example, Southwest Kansas, Liberal or Seward County, Garden, Dodge City, at least, maybe Pratt. And so they would determine the date and they would determine, the program.
Yeah.
So they would, not all 4 regions would necessarily meet on the same day. They would meet when they could come together and determine that it's good and convenient in their schedules to do that.
Yeah, that might be the time that we want to consider trying to have Zoom so that everyone could get the information from Heather, because that otherwise it's going to be a lot of traveling for her.
Yeah, and again, I don't know that, Heather would, it would be necessarily her responsibility to travel to all of them.
Right, that's why I said if she's in one location and is on Zoom, and we would be live, but she could just Zoom into our meetings and she would not have to drive all over Kansas.
That's a possibility
That's just my
with the
thinking.
Technology that's available today, yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and there was she did a very, very good discussion on the budget, the budget from the state of Kansas, a lot of information, and there was considerable talk about the revenue neutral rate, and I won't go into it here, but that and the college reserves and what the legislators are thinking in Topeka. You've probably shared it with Dr. Mosier, have you? You haven't yet? Okay.
We know I know it to the detail,
Okay.
to the last paragraph and sentence and comma.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a big one watching closely, yes.
Yeah. And the governor does not have plans to veto that.
I don't have anything else to add.
Thank you, Trustee Ash. If there are no other questions or comments, do we have a motion to accept the report,
So
please?
moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on our agenda is the consent agenda. This time I call for a motion to approve the consent agenda on a single vote.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, that brings us to the presenter reports this evening. I have 7:01 p.m. I am wondering, is everyone good to proceed, or do we need a 5-minute break? It's been pretty stacked agenda so far this evening. We've got one asking for it. I think let's do just a quick 5 minutes and back to it at 7:06 then. We are in recess. Thank you. There we go. All right, thank you everyone for bearing with us there. We will return to our open session, and next on our agenda, we have the report from the Student Senate with Mr. Joseph Sanchez, Student Senate President. Good evening.
Good evening. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Okay, sorry about not being in person, which I had planned, but I got caught up doing homework. So on May 7th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., we are revamping the end of the year bash to the Blue Devil games. This year's Blue Devil games will be a tournament-based game with teams or singles. If you guys have seen the Netflix show Squid Game, it will be based on the show. There will be games like Red Light, Green Light, Dachi, and Dalgona, and a few more within the tournament. So that's in the works, which is on May 7th. And I had like cards to give you guys too. And we are working on next year's Student Senate, which should be announced by the end of the week. And that's all I have to report.
Hey, there he is.
Oh, hello.
Hi there.
Hey, good to see you, Joseph.
Yeah, see you. All right.
And
And your
here's
crew.
one of the candidates for Student Senate next year.
Who are they?
Hi there.
Oh, that's the advisor, Chris, and this is Sage, who is running for president.
Excellent.
All right. Good to see all of you. Appreciate your report this evening. Do we have any questions for Mr. Sanchez? Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept the report, please?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have the President's report with Dr. Mosier.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'll try and move quickly through this. I do want to congratulate Wade Abel and Lena Locks for receiving the gold level standard for veteran-friendly services in our KCKCC Veterans Center. So we have never received gold that we know of. We moved from bronze to gold this year. So great accomplishments in serving a lot of students. Also, a shout out to Rich Piper. You know, we're getting a lot of publicity in many different ways, but Rich was actually in an article in the March Ingrams. It's a couple pages, some great photos. It's the new shade of blue collar, and it talks about advanced manufacturing and how it has really changed. So really nice job by Rich. Additionally, congratulations to the debate team. I think they're on their way back, but they were at the national championship competitions, and this year is the first in a long time that every single student that went made it to the medal rounds. And we have received 3 national titles in debate and many silver and bronze medals. So, yeah, they did a great job.
Awesome. All right.
On April 3rd, we did get the visit from the president and CEO from Association of Community College Trustees, Mr. Ji-Hang Lee. So we were able to spend an hour and a half or so together touring the college, both main campus and tech, looking at the AET lab, which was he was very impressed with, and then going down to the downtown site, which he really gave us kudos for that, on really going to where our students need us. So a very nice visit with that. We will have a visit from U.S. Representative Derek Schmidt on, I believe, April 22. The date may be wrong, but I think that's correct.
Yeah, I think that's a week from today.
Okay. Senator Marshall's staff will be here, and Dr. Balog will show them around on, I think it's this Friday, April 18th. We have an upcoming interview for an update on the downtown project with the Kansas City Business Journal. So that'll be on April 21st. I'll meet them downtown and give them an update on the project, and should be able to get some great photographs as well. I mentioned recently that we did an interview for the Golden Shovel Agency, who's a recruiting organization for business and industry into areas with the attention of the data centers, Panasonic and everything, we started talking about what we're doing in alternative educational design with registered apprenticeship, time at the college, time at work, etc. So we extended the interview, and he's probably going to do an extra story on just what we are doing to help educate and build our workforce here in KCK. The Hetchinger report, I've talked about that several times. It's about Panasonic and fame. It's supposed to be out this week or maybe next week, and the writer believes that it will be published in Politico, which has a reach of somewhere between 22 million and 25 million users. So once that comes out, definitely share that. That's probably the largest distribution of a national report that we have had, at least since I have been here. Just recently, Ashley Irvin has been working with the Panasonic direct folks for the training. We have been invited, and I've been invited to talk at the, there is a registered apprenticeship celebration week coming up in June, and they asked us to present on what we are doing with Panasonic. It will be at the facility in DeSoto, and either the lieutenant governor or the governor will be there as well. So it's a really big deal. So just lots and lots of publicity. Some things going on. Hall of Fame is Friday, April 25th. We host KCCLI on May 1st and 2nd, and I have to go to Arizona for a funeral, but Dr. Baylog is going to do the presentation on Thursday night and give tours, etc. It's always a great event. Employee recognition ceremony is coming up Friday, May 16th. And we have identified a speaker, again with some input from Dr. Baylog, and a lead. It will be Lieutenant General Milford Beagle from Fort Leavenworth, who has an amazing career. And he's the commanding general since October of 2022. I'll give you just a little bit of a downtown update quickly. Randy, if we can swap screens. Oh, it's probably on, it's on my local. Do I need to drag it? Wait a minute, I got it. So the downtown site is definitely moving along. You can see all the activity that is taking place. There are bodies and equipment moving everywhere. This was from before I went to DC. So you can see a lot of interior walls built, but doing the pour slabs. They're going up and building the elevator shaft on the south side of the building, but if you can look at all the rigs, I mean, they're just getting after it. This is from 2 weeks ago too, as they're pouring additional footers and pouring the slab walls. That slab wall's on the west side of the property, parallel 7th Street. And then you're gone for 2 weeks and you come back and yeah, they've got well, I'm sorry, this is an older one too, of the elevator shaft going up. And 2 weeks later, you come back and we've got standing walls. This is the north wall of the building. So this is a sub-basement area. The elevator shaft going all the way up, the retaining wall here for the south side of the build site on State Avenue. But those walls are going up just so quickly, precast concrete. Amazing progress going on. I love the shot with the elevator tower up. This is 7th Street side, so this is the boomerang shape. Getting it coated and stuff so we can backfill it with dirt for seepage control. another shot. This is where there's the different differentiation between the educational stack moving into the walkway for the tech wing. So just some really beautiful shape and design that's being in there. Some of the most beautiful concrete I've ever seen in my life, I just got to tell you. So this is the stormwater catch system that's going on the northeast corner of the property. It will be covered with parking lot and some material that will allow the water to penetrate through. And all of these are storm capture and cleansing containers before the water goes back into the system. And you can see how large they are compared to this little Bobcat here. And I think that may be it. So lots of great progress going on. We're still meeting. Owners group is meeting every single week on Wednesday morning. OAC on-site meeting is every other Wednesday. So yeah, it's moving and shaking, and we are still on track for a May substantial completion, kind of third week of May probably.
I have a handful of fresh pictures from today, if anybody cares to see them after the meeting.
2026, so starting classes in fall of 2026?
Yes, yeah. So lots of incredible things going on. It's just amazing to be a part of. So thank you everyone for all your work. That concludes my report.
Move
Great
approval
job.
of report. Oh, I'm sorry. You
No,
can
I was
tell
just
us
saying,
the
great
song.
job.
Thank you.
It's exciting, especially with the downtown committee, when we get to hear the great comments. It's like, it's so awesome to see some movement and growth.
Lots of buzz generated
job.
now that it's starting to go up.
Looks good.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
So moved and second. Do we, are all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, the Executive Vice President's report with Dr. Baylog. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Chair Isnard, for the opportunity to brief the board on our institutional strategy, partnerships, and community engagement and operational execution. Just point of privilege at the podium. If you've not been down to the site and actually seen the site for the downtown center, please visit it. It is very hard to appreciate the magnitude of the project and the impact that this will have on our downtown, just the urban core. Please go visit it. It is extraordinary.
My
As it
church
relates
is
to
down
institutional
there.
strategy, yes,
Excuse
ma'am.
me. My church is down there, so I see it every week.
It is just extraordinary. As it relates to institutional strategy, we continue our work to modernize our operations through the implementation of new strategic frameworks, improved processes, and technology solutions, including Workboard and Ellucian Colleagues SaaS. This past month, members of our core technology team attended Ellucian Live, where they were informed, enlightened, and inspired by our technology partner and peers who were also in attendance. The advancement of our operations and increased functionality of Ellucian Colleague will allow us to provide the experience we've long desired for our students and employees. In addition to our efforts to modernize college services and operations, we're continuing to contribute to the development of a new workforce system for the Kansas City Metro with KC Rising. This includes harnessing the talent pipeline management framework developed by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. I'm currently part of a cohort comprised of area leaders enrolled in a 12-week training program facilitated by the U.S. Chamber and engaging technology companies that offer learning and employment record solutions that will help our team at KC Rising operationalize the vision and concept we developed for a new workforce system. That system will give learners and career seekers across the Metro increased agency and better connect them with local employers and job opportunities. As it relates to partnerships and community engagement, in cultivating partnerships and engaging the community, KCKCC is leading the way. We're leading among our peers. We continue to grow our relationship with Panasonic. You heard the president mention briefly about our continued work with them. They're thrilled with the level of support that we're providing them. We're now exploring alternative workforce pipelines that include area school districts, the military and transition assistance program, and the corrections system. We are the example and leader locally in our work with our partners in industry, education, and community development. As it relates to operational execution, we launched the search for a new Vice President of Enrollment Management and Student Services earlier this month, and will welcome 3 finalists to visit the college next week. In reflecting on the talent of the applicant pool and the interest shared in our initial round interviews, it's clear that people want to be on our team. They want to be here. They are taking notice of the innovation. They are taking notice of the work that we're doing to support our students. You heard Brady present on that earlier. There's an appreciation for our mission, our responsiveness to the needs of the community, our collaboration with area employers, school and higher education partners, local governments, and community-based organizations. We're transforming Wyandotte and Leavenworth counties, creating pathways to well-paying jobs and positioning our students and graduates to provide for themselves and their families with dignity. Even with an expanding portfolio of partnerships, growing enrollment, and increased demands of the college, we operate as lean as possible and constantly look for ways to improve our efficiency. We appreciate the sentiments and concerns of residents and taxpayers of Wyandotte County. We hear you and are cutting where we can without it negatively impacting teaching, learning, and our service to students. I thank the board for your time and attention and welcome your questions.
All right. Hearing none, thank you, Dr. Baylog. Do we have a motion to accept the report, please?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have the Vice President of Academic Affairs report with Mr. Pope. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. You have the report in front of you. There's just a couple of things that I want to point out. One of the fun things is to honor faculty members, and so a few years ago we instituted the Teaching Excellence and Colleague Honor Award, and so the colleagues vote for faculty members that they know who are excelling in the classroom, and we always have an adjunct instructor and a full-time instructor. So you see their names. Interestingly, they were both in the speech department this time. So with the wins at the debate tournament that we talked about earlier and the classroom instruction that's going on, it's a great thing to see that. The Office of Assessment has actually piloted a new free software where we're keeping track of our assessment. And as an interim dean, I got the opportunity to work in that system. And I want to say they did a really good job choosing it. It's very easy to use, and it's kind of an open source system. So it helps us really keep track of our assessment. And I just wanted to call that out. I think that's really very interesting. The spring fair took place at the Technical Education Center. Over 80 employers and over 370 students and community members attending, so it was a very successful event. For our health professions, KCKCC and the University of Kansas Health System engaged in a pilot program for nursing clinicals. So we had a situation where our practical nursing student couldn't get into a clinical, I don't know the exact details, but the clinical site backed out or they didn't have enough space. And so we were able to pair to allow a practical nursing student to do the clinicals with the RN students. And so Dr. Bohm got a report today about how that's really going well. And so it's kind of a nice opportunity for that PN student to work with RN students. So it's one of those things that we had to solve the issue as well as we could very quickly, and it turned out to be a really interesting thing that we're going to try to do for the future. So that's really interesting to me. And then the mortuary science program currently, and of course these are the first numbers, but they have a 100% pass rate for both the arts and sciences section. So there's an arts section and a science section.
That's
So
awesome.
far there's a
Congratulations.
100% pass rate on that. So congratulations to the students and the new coordinator, and of course everybody that's working on that. In the interest of time, those are just some things I wanted to point out, and I'll take any questions that you may have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Pope. Do we have a motion to accept the report, please?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have the Vice President of Student Affairs and Enrollment Management report with Dr. Cordy. Good evening.
Thank you very much.
I will try and make it quick like everyone else is. You know, as you've seen in the report, phenomenal enrollment numbers. Have some updated numbers as of Monday. Summer headcount is up 115% compared to last summer. Semester credit hours 144%. Fall is up 30% compared to last fall in terms of headcount, and semester credit hours are 43% up compared to last fall. Yeah, just phenomenal numbers, and like I said, I'm just reporting this. It's really been a team effort, just phenomenal. A couple other things I want to try and bring up. You saw our nationally. 3 teams that went to the nationals. We have our women's softball have a 30-11 record as of today, 25-10 at home, and they're ranked 18th nationally. Other numbers that are really running high in terms of, as Brady brought up, advising traffic, placement testing is up 54% compared to last March at this time. I mean, all these indicators are just outstanding. And the president mentioned that our Veterans Center received the gold level status. It's very dear to me as a veteran myself. I also want to point out that only 127 schools nationally receive the gold level status for veteran-friendly campuses, 127 nationally. Yep. That's all I've got.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Congratulations. These numbers are.
It's been a great team effort. It really has.
Move approval.
I
No,
had
I'm sorry.
You know, talking about, I'm wondering, I've noticed, you know, you're talking about the numbers, and I noticed it, and I'm wondering if people are just finally emerging from COVID, you know, completely. We're finally seeing the rebound, because I know that had a big impact on people actually, you know, enrolling. There was so much going on, deaths and everything like that, but I'm glad to see it's increasing.
I think there's a number of issues. I think one of them is, you know, the FAFSA. We were rolled out a lot sooner this year because of you know, congressional legislation, and so we've got you know, 2 months ahead of it from that. But I just also think that KCKCC is the place to go now. I mean, I just think that you know, students are realizing what a great opportunity it is, the programs we offer, and what we can do. But I think also, you know, we've looked at the processes and seeing how we could streamline or make the process more effective, less burdensome for students. And so that's something that we've done. For example, when students apply, last semester they were having to wait until January to be accepted. Well, all the other schools were accepting them in the fall. And so we made a definite change in that, so once a student applied, they'd be accepted you know, as quickly as we could get them admitted. And so that's something that we didn't have to hold up, which was happening in the past.
Yes, and that's a segue to my next question, because I noticed, my comment was that the application numbers are impressive. You've really increased those numbers, but then the next step is, how do we get them to enroll? How do we make these applications into enrollment? And then, what are the barriers? You know, sometimes it's different barriers, and so if we know what those barriers are, maybe we can, you know, kind of help that process as well.
Very much so. Yeah, I think there's a number of steps that we execute after we've admitted the student to make sure that we haven't lost the contact. One of the things we've worked on with the company, with Archer, is to get the students committed so that they not only understand that they've been admitted, but that next step, how to enroll for that next process. And so we're working very closely to make sure that that happens, so that we don't lose students from the admit to the registration process.
Yeah, and I know sometimes there's been like slow getting these transcripts. How does that affect it now?
Well, what we do with the transcripts is we help the students in that, you know, sometimes we accept unofficial transcripts, so that, you know, many times it's it's a challenge to get official transcripts because the student might be at the mercy of wherever they're getting the transcript from. And in some situations, you know, it's really, it can be a really long and drawn out process. And so, especially too, we have a number of international students, and that's a whole different process on itself.
Yes.
But you know, we try and help the students so that if we have to, we contact the school and say, hey, you know, this student has been waiting. What can we do to facilitate to get an official transcript to move the student along?
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, and I'll add a little bit to that. The big push, you know, I mentioned earlier, or previous times, this last year was a year that I just mandated applications need to be processed within 48 hours.
Yes.
They used to sit in piles, in piles and piles, and they wouldn't get processed for weeks. So then we went from 48 hours to 24 hours, trying to automate the system as much as we can. And then they'll get a response within 24 hours. Welcome, you've been admitted to KCKCC. There is some additional information we may need to collect from you, but congratulations, and we're excited to see you here at the college. So that was phase one with Archer. And then that's to get the admitted. So last fall, you saw 25% increase in admitted students and a 6% increase in enrolled students. So phase two was working with Archer to get them from admitted to enrolled. And that's a big thing. So these numbers are at least 2 or 3 weeks ahead of where we were in previous semesters, especially if we look 1 year back. So it's great to see, and those things that we've initiated are really starting to make a difference. So they don't get frustrated and go someplace else because they haven't heard from us. So yeah, a lot of hard work going into it, but yeah, we definitely are working on processes, automation, timely communication, and support as Brady was mentioning. So.
Excellent. All right.
I guess I should second it because you were in the middle of saying approve.
Yeah, okay, yes, thank you. I'm sorry I cut you off. Move approval of the report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have the Vice President of Finance and Operations report with Dr. Schulte.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me. I am calling in from Nashville as I'm at the American Association of Community Colleges conference, and I do have to give recognition, as Dr. Mosier was sharing, as was Dr. Cordy. Chris Green was one of the presenters along with Archer here at the conference. She did an exceptionally good job talking about enhancing enrollment through collaborative technology. So not only are we talking about it at KCKCC, we're doing it and then presenting on it, and everyone else is looking at us as a model going forward. The room was full. Chris did exceptional. In addition, Dr. Iobe is presenting at the conference as well on global beats and global education and programming, did an exceptional job. But getting into my report, from a finance standpoint, we had a very engaged finance committee meeting, as was noted. One of the things you'll see in new business a little bit later is we really need to make movement on making sure that the encumbered funds that you all allocated for the downtown project are actually put into a fund based on that encumbrance. We want to make sure that dollars are put off into a fund for that designation as we move forward. So you'll see that later on as we move forward with new business a little bit later. In addition, in finance, Becky Barger will join us this week, our new controller. We're excited to have her on our team. And also, we had a number of individuals attend eLive from our finance team, and they came back inspired, taking a look at how do we utilize the tools that we have to make things stronger in the area of finance, all with a focus on how do we enhance our student experience. That's something I think is very apparent. I think across campus, but essentially on my team as well, is each one of the areas and focusing on how are we serving not only the students, but other constituents on campus to make sure that we're being able to put our best foot forward as we move ahead. We've engaged in 25-26 budget hearings and having conversations as information is brought forward to you or already in a couple steps into the process of taking a look at what have people submitted for their budgets as we go forward, and how do we make necessary adjustments based on the decisions that are made at the trustee level going forward. In Human Resources, they hosted their first annual admin conference, took place on March 12th and 13th, with a real focus on being able to be open access for anyone interested in learning more skills and moving forward. In addition, the Cultural Enrichment Center, which reflects a renewed focus on our interconnectedness, global society, and improved importance of exposure to different cultures, has been moved and now will be structured under Dr. Riobe in the Educational Innovation and Global Programming Center. Inside of Information Services, as noted, a team went to eLive with a real focus on essentially utilizing our tool and Ellucian and SaaS migration, and also making sure that we're taking full advantage of the tools that we have on campus, and how do we integrate those into what we do each day for our students. In addition to that, as you probably noted, we did make a decision to move on from a CIO position, so we'll re-engage that search, taking a look for our next Chief Information Officer, and making sure that we continue continuity of operations as we move forward towards those goals inside of Information Services. In Facilities, one of the things I'd like to note, all the work they're doing on deferred maintenance, but Debbie Fangman, Director, has done a great job of really engaging and taking a look at how to survey individuals on campus based on how individuals are doing, but also then personalizing that in a way to say, hi, my name is, and I'm the one who cleans your area, I'm the one who supports you in these ways. Tell me how I'm doing and what we can do differently to be able to help your area move forward, which I really think is a bold step in a way in which we can assess and better serve the institution holistically, but at the same time, humanize the process of what we do in facility services. Because sometimes individuals are forgotten, and a lot of the work might be done after hours. People don't see who's there. We want to take a chance to really recognize those individuals for the service they provide to keep us all going. Inside of College Police, candidates for the support specialist one were interviewed on March 25th and 26th. The support specialist one will essentially be the admin in that area, leading and taking control of a lot of the admin functions for College Police as we move forward. And the College Police Department participated in an alcohol and drug prevention event on the main campus March 11th and 12th. One final note in my report to wrap things up: the Wellness Center, we're well underway in preparing for the 20th annual Blue Devil 5K to be held May 3rd. We created some incentives for people to enroll. We hope that you all will come out and participate. This is a walk, jog, run, whatever it might be. We want to see as many of you out there as we can, because we want to encourage individuals to attend and show support on behalf of the Wellness Center on campus. So with that, that is the extent of my report prior to the new business we'll have later on, and I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you. If there are no questions, do we have a motion to accept the report, please?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Schulte. Next, we have the Vice President of Educational Innovation and Global Programming report. Sounds like, or looks like Dr. Candace Scott will be subbing in for Dr. Riobe tonight.
Yes, good evening. On behalf of Dr. Riobe, I'll be reporting on Educational Innovation Global Programming, which I'll be reporting on 5 of the departments this evening: Adult and Continuing Education, High School Partnership, International Program, Online Education Services, and Workforce Innovation. Under enrollment data, our high school students account for almost 27% of KCKCC's total enrollment student population. International student enrollment has increased 74% since fall of 2023. Adult and Continuing Education, GED enrollment has 65 students, and Workforce Innovation is on track for AET program targets. Under Student Success, 5 international students will be graduating this May and transferring to four-year institutions. And we are pleased to announce that 7 students completed their GED. 36 additional tests were taken at the testing center, with 27 other tests by KCKCC adult education students. At the Lansing Correctional Facility, 6 students passed 8 exams, with 1 student completing their GED. Also, a graduation ceremony was held on April 3rd for 7 graduates. Finally, online education services continues to see excellent engagement from students with Panopl. The March 2025 report shows over 2,400 views and over 560 downloads. Under quality program and employee engagement, to increase KCKCC's visibility in high schools, retractable banners were placed in every Kansas City, Kansas public high school. Workforce Innovation secured partnerships with the Math, Science, and Business Technology Division and Career Services for the creation of a new micro-credential and career readiness. And online education is working closely with IT and Ellucian contractors to implement the intelligent learning platform from Ellucian. Moving to community engagement, the high school partnership team attended the Kansas State University Digital Engagement Summit at the Unified School District 500, offering students hands-on exposure to high-demand digital careers. The Kansas City International Educators Conference welcomed over 100 international educators from Kansas and Missouri on April 3rd, with myself as the chair and Dr. Riobe presenting a keynote address. Rich Piper, the Director of Workforce Development, and members of the KC FAME chapter attended the Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics First Robotics competition held on March 21st at Mill Valley High School. Under upcoming events, High School Partnerships is offering on-site enrollment at the local high schools to offer great convenience by allowing students to complete the process directly at their high schools, eliminating barriers such as transportation, with the ability to address concerns and answer questions to resolve issues in real time. This will continue through May 1st. Finally, we are pleased to announce GED graduation will take place on May 29th. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
A lot of good stuff.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion to accept the report, please?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Vice President of Marketing and Institutional Image Report, and this will be presented by Ms. Kelly Roge. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello.
Hello.
I think we're going to start with the video.
I chose KCKCC because I wanted to stay pretty local, and they offered such a great theatric training program. What I learned in the theater program was really an overarching view of theater as a whole. Everything from behind the scenes with tech theater, stage management, to on the stage things like stage combat, acting for on stage and both on the camera.
You're learning from people who are actually in the industry. A good theater education can train you in wonderful ways for many, many different careers. Self-confidence, collaboration, how to work within a team, commitment, working with deadlines, and there's also a lot of critical thinking involved with being in theater. KCKCC Theater Program, I think we have a lot of opportunities for our students.
And that was one of the program videos that marketing has been working on to promote some of our programs. The print shop, scheduling, and events and media services continue to receive more than 20 surveys each month as part of their 4DX wildly important goals. They exceed their goal of 3.0 with an average rating of 3.98 every month. Under student success, with enrollment opening April 1st, Marketing and Institutional Image launched the summer-fall enrollment campaign. The campaign includes advertising on Hot 103 Jams, Mix 93.3, and KSHB 41, in addition to digital marketing, postcard mailings, and more. In collaboration with Student Affairs and Enrollment Management, Marketing has created yard signs for first-time students to place in their yard, showing that they are KCKCC proud. Both the Student Success Center and admissions will provide these to students. Chris, as you heard, is speaking at AACC this week, where she is discussing the college's innovative enrollment process and their college partnerships with Claris, which provides our digital advertising, as well as Archer, who provides the 2 prospective student portals. Under quality programs and services, this semester marketing has partnered with academic programs like theater to complete videos for culinary arts, HVAC, and the visual arts. Under community engagement, on March 9th, the college and the foundation will host alumni, employees, and students at the Monarchs home opener. Tickets will be offered and distributed beginning April 16th. KCKCC continues to experience increased regional and national notice. Recently, stories have appeared on television regarding the Panasonic partnership, Fame Open House, and the non-credit Apex Trucking partnership. In addition, the Fame partnership with KCKCC was featured on a national web series, Cool Careers. KCKCC and Dr. Mosier were featured in the Education magazine, and the Registered Apprenticeship Program and Fame partnership are highlighted in the new Ingram's magazine. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the board?
Great job.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the report?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next on our agenda is unfinished business, for which we have none scheduled. So moving into new business, I would invite the presentation of the sabbatical proposal for fall 2025 for Dr. Valdenia Nguyen, Professor of History, presented by Dr. Mosier.
Thank you, Chair Snard. Just for some of our new trustees, a little background on sabbatical requests and leave. It's a normal part of the higher education system. KCKCC's requirements must be a full-time faculty member for at least 6 years. This person just barely has 6 years. Hey, you gave it away. Maybe a little more, yes.
Are we over 40 now?
Yeah. And if approved, when they are on sabbatical, they can do a 1-year sabbatical or a 1-semester sabbatical, half-year sabbatical. Either way that they do that, the compensation is half of what their contract salary is for that time frame. The purpose of sabbaticals is to give faculty an opportunity to do some deep research into their area and put together a final product that enhances his or her professional career, but really helps to focus on how we can improve the quality of instruction at KCKCC. Upon completion of the sabbatical, the employees are required to return to their full-time position for a period of 2 years. If they don't complete the sabbatical or they don't complete the 2-year time allotment, then there is a payback portion to it as well. There's a very solid structure that starts from the grassroots and the department level to the division level to the dean level to the vice president's level to me, and then to present to the board. And this request has gone through all of those steps and with full support at each of those. So that being the case, for the background on sabbaticals, we do have a request. It's been a couple years since we've had one, so it's kind of nice to see. This is for Dr. Valdenia Nguyen, and she is doing, let me get to her sabbatical would be research on Chester Owens and the fight for civil rights in Kansas City. She has a lot of research that would take place. It's for fall 2026, but she would actually start her research in the summer of 2026 so that she could get a good jump on writing and doing follow-up research during that time. She'll be researching the social justice movements of the 20th century, struggles that were won, helped to increase opportunities for African Americans, as well as other movements for change that include women, anti-Vietnam War, LGBTQ, and other anti-colonial struggles abroad. She's really going to be focusing on Mr. Owens and his work being an advocate for the African American community in our area. The proposal again is for fall. I'm sorry, I said 26, it's 25. I'm a year off.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but I
yeah.
think we were all thinking 25, yeah.
So she would start in the summer, research general histories of the civil rights movements, especially student activism. She'll consult with the Owens family and research his papers that reside in North Carolina and Florida. She'll be traveling to interview family members to obtain their records, memorabilia, and such. Research into the Sumner alumni papers, and then in the fall of 25, start writing on what she has collected and continuing to collect at the Kansas collection at the Kenneth Spencer Library, research at KU, and other NAACP records. So she's really put together a strong sabbatical package, and we just we look at these very closely to and if we're going to propose to move it forward. It'll be a document, 3-phase document, about 150 to 250 pages in length. She proposes to have the first draft of work by January 2026, following the fall semester, have some peer reviews of it, and then hopefully wrap up the work in the summer of 2026 and publish a final copy. So even though it's a one-semester sabbatical, you can see she has a year's worth of work put into it. Then she would also present her findings to the Board of Trustees along with her academic colleagues as well. So I bring, here we go, her credentials and her time. So 6 years, or she started in 1972, so it's just a couple years more than 6. But it does come with the full support of the department, division, faculty, Mr. Pope as the interim dean and vice president, and with my support. So I would put this forward to you, and my recommendation, if you agree, would be to approve the sabbatical request for fall 2025. And if you have any other questions about it, Mr. Pope probably is a good person to answer those.
Looks like Mr. Pope is ready. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, do we have a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right. Next, I would invite the presentation of the mid-year budget adjustment presented by Dr. Schulte, Vice President of Finance and Operations.
Thank you, Chair Snart. I'm going to share my screen and walk you through. So hopefully you all can let me know. I'm guessing you can see everything on my screen as well and hear me. Out of the Finance Committee meeting, as discussed earlier, there was a conversation around, and we engaged conversation along with our college attorney, and also our audit partner, Bill Miller, was on the call with finance. And one of the things that we noted inside of the fiscal year 25 budget that needed to be adjusted going forward was the allocation of funds for the downtown project, because as you all approved as trustees this project and the encumbrance of those funds, our commitment to that project downtown, we needed to make sure that we were appropriately reflecting that in FY 25's budget. We'll do the same thing in FY 26 as we carry forward, but wanted to make sure that we are appropriately designating that inside this budget going forward. So the recommendation that was brought forward to the Finance Committee and approved, motioned forward to the board, was the highlighted orange area where we had previously transfer from reserves Fund 11 downtown. Our Fund 11 account on campus is our general fund account that we use for our general obligations and operations on a day-to-day basis. And we wanted to make sure that we were designating a difference between that Fund 11, which is our operating account, our day-to-day operating account, and actually where the funds are being held for the downtown project, so they were no longer commingled in that single fund. So the recommendation was to create a designation inside the budget that states restricted funds for disbursement from Fund 62. And Fund 62 is an account that we're setting up for capital outlay with Security Bank. So the funds will maintain with the same entity. They'll just be moved into a separate fund that will be reconciled on our bank statements for the finance committee, and then all of you for trustees as you look at our audit on an annual basis. And that then is reflected down below to show that as we show other expenses for downtown, we actually will just show the disbursement of those funds for the downtown project from Fund 62, and then use that as an annual tracking mechanism as we go forward to the completion of this project to meet the obligations of the encumbrance that you all put forward based on approving this project. So with that, the motion's on the, been moved by finance, and I'm going to, pass it over to all of you.
Questions or discussion? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the mid-year budget adjustment as presented?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Schulte.
Yes, appreciate that. Next, I'd invite the presentation of the alcohol resolution for the B-Side KC 2025 event presented by Dr. Mosier.
Thank you, Chair Isnard. We have a couple alcohol resolutions to pass or to vote upon. Two of them are actually on the agenda, and we'd like to amend this to add a third. I'll go over the first one first. This is a resolution for the B-Sides KC 2025 conference. This is a conference that is a source of education, collaboration, and continued conversation for information technologists and those associated in the field. So they'll have meetings basically all day on Saturday, and they would like to request the exemption for alcohol from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. in upper level Jewel Lounge. So the resolution is as such that whereas Kansas statute annotated 41719D prohibits the consumption of alcoholic liquor on public property except where expressly permitted by law, and whereas KCKCC is authorized under Kansas law to allow this exemption. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of KCKCC, KCKCC hereby exempts for Saturday, April 26th, 2025 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. in Upper Jewel Lounge from the requirement of KSA 4179, and this exemption is granted in connection with the holding of the B-Sides KC 2025 conference. Passed and approved by the Board of Trustees in a meeting held on Tuesday, April 15, 2025.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Oppose.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Great, thank you. The second one, excuse me, wait for my notes. One second, please. Okay, so the second one is a alcohol resolution for Leadership 2000 graduation ceremony. It would be on June 11th from 5 to 9 p.m. here in this tech conference room. It's a great organization. Many of you probably know quite a bit about Leadership 2000 and the work they do to help develop leaders in our community. The resolution is as such, a resolution regarding the consumption of alcoholic liquor in accordance with KSA 4171I, whereas Kansas statute annotated 41719D prohibits the consumption of alcoholic liquor on public property except where expressly permitted by law, and whereas KCKCC is authorized under Kansas law to exempt from this provision under the control of the KCKCC Board of Trustees. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of KCKCC, the college exempts for Wednesday, June 11th, 2025 from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the Thomas R. Burke Technical Education Center Conference Room from this requirement. The exemption is granted in connection with the holding of the Leadership 2000 graduation passed and approved by the Board of KCKCC in a meeting held on Tuesday, April 15th, 2025.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
And so that was 4-1. I will abstain as I serve on the Board for Leadership 2000 as well. So that motion carries. Thank you.
And with the board's approval to add the third?
Do we need to amend the
It would
agenda?
be good to
or-
amend the agenda to allow this to be added at this time.
Do we have a motion to amend this evening's agenda to add one more resolution? There was a clerical error, it seems, didn't get on the agenda in time.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this is another request by Leadership 2000 for an event called their Bingo Boogie. So I believe it's a fundraising event. Again, it's a great organization that we're proud to be supporters of. It just does incredible work. So the resolution then is whereas Kansas statute annotated 41-719D prohibits the consumption of alcoholic liquor on public property except where expressly permitted by law, whereas KCKCC is authorized under Kansas law to allow this exemption. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of KCKCC, KCKCC hereby exempts May 10th, 2025 from 6 to 9 p.m. in the Thomas R. Burke Technical Education Center, room AA 101, from the requirement of the Kansas statute. This exemption is granted in connection with the holding of the Leadership 2000 Bingo Boogie, passed and approved by the Board of KCKCC in a meeting held on Tuesday, April 15, 2025.
Thank you, Dr. Mosier. And a little bit more information on that one. This is a fundraiser. So again, May 10th, 6 to 9 p.m. to benefit the Mount Carmel Redevelopment Corporation and their mission as it focuses on youth that Mount Carmel serves. So with that, do we have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
And again, I will abstain as I serve on the Board for Leadership 2000 as well, so that motion carries. Thank you. That brings us to the end of our agenda this evening, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.